Yo Gotti and his CMG goons controlled things in Memphis for a long time, both in the streets and in the rap music world. But he was just never able to get one rapper to bow: Young Dolph.
Was there ever a point in time where you respected Gotti as an artist coming out of Memphis? Because obviously I know he kicked a lot of doors down for a lot of people in Memphis.
Never.
Dolph was just never afraid of Yo Gotti or his crew, and the beef that came from that became deadly. And even though Dolph tragically lost his life in the end, one thing remained clear: he was never scared.
Ho Gotti, you was a I just got back to the city, they say you trying to put charges on me and put the police on me. You seen your little do all your talking. Talk for yourself, ass.
How it started. Most people know how the feud started. Yo Gotti tried to sign Young Dolph, Dolph turned him down, and from there, the tension escalated. But some believe it ran deeper, possibly stemming from Yo Gotti's long-standing issues with Gucci Mane. A video even surfaced of Young Dolph during a radio interview with Gucci, which led some to speculate that might have been the true spark that lit the fire.
Somebody's gonna hear this record, and they're gonna think that you're talking crap about Gotti and these other cats. And when
I said Gotti was cool until he turned into a buster.
Regardless of how it began, Dolph transformed into a relentless force against Yo Gotti and CMG. He never missed a moment to taunt them, and that level of defiance led to not one, but 3 brutal attempts on his life. First attempt. The first attempt happened in 2017 during CIAA weekend in Charlotte. Dolph's SUV was sprayed with over 100 bullets in broad daylight, just blocks from the arena where the basketball championship was taking place. It was chaos. Multiple cars were hit, and shell casings were scattered all over the scene.
This what happened. I'm standing up there, I seen him pull off right here.
Pull off right here.
Bro, a truck came from right here and pulled up and slammed on brakes. Ain't like a movie, bro.
Yeah.
There were even rumors that Dolph had already bulletproofed his truck before this happened, almost like he knew trouble was coming from Yo Gotti's camp. 3 men were arrested in connection with a shooting: Black Youngsta, one of CMG's biggest names, Frederick Black, and Antavius Gardner. They were all hit with multiple charges, including discharging a firearm into occupied property and conspiracy.
The police arrested 27-year-old Sammy Benson, 23-year-old Frederick Black, and 20-year-old Antavius Gardner. Each were charged with 6 counts of discharging a weapon into an occupied property and felony conspiracy.
Black Youngsta had previously threatened Dolph publicly, claiming he'd slap him, and was seen rolling through Dolph's neighborhood with his crew, armed and clearly looking for confrontation.
Where he at? Where he at? Where he at?
Where you at, dog?
See what happened back? You see me? Down fat cuz.
Where you at, dog?
Where you at? Where you at? We in Castaigne right now, we just left the store.
But when Young Dolph was asked about the arrest, he barely flinched. He wasn't bothered. He stayed locked in on leveling up and shining harder in front of his enemies.
One thing that I know for sure, and I've been knowing this for a long time, you kill your haters with success.
Right after the shooting, he even performed his Yo Gotti diss track, Play With Yo B.
Hey, why you keep your foot on me?
He then doubled down, dropping 3 tracks inspired by the situation: 100 Shots, In Charlotte, and Bulletproof. Eventually, the charges against Black Youngsta were dropped. According to court documents, in this case, the only evidence tying the defendant to the offense is a suspect vehicle that was rented by the defendant. There is no evidence that the defendant was driving the vehicle during the offense or even an occupant of the vehicle at the time of the offense. Second attempt. But it wouldn't be long before the second attempt on Young Dolph's life would come. Months later, outside the Lowe's Hotel in Hollywood, that one almost took him out. He got into a fight with 3 guys in the valet area, got knocked to the ground, and then someone pulled out a gun and shot him multiple times. He was rushed into surgery and survived, but it was clear that somebody really wanted him gone.
He was shot. Detectives say 3 men approached him right in front of Lowell's Hollywood Hotel today, where all 4 were guests. There was a fight. Young Dolph fell to the ground, and that's when one of the 3 suspects opened fire.
LAPD even named Yo Gotti as a person of interest based on witness statements. A man named Corey McClendon, one of Gotti's close associates, was arrested near the scene. Police even found a gold Escalade linked to the suspects not far away. But like before, charges didn't stick. McClendon got released, and no one's ever been officially charged for that shooting either. But even after coming that close to death, Young Dolph didn't flinch. He wasn't shaken at all. In fact, people spotted him walking around solo not long after, like nothing happened. All he cared about was securing the bag and leveling up.
Things happen like you had happened to you. They have epiphanies. They have like life-changing moments. Just want to ask, has your worldview changed at all after what's happened to you?
Not really.
Final attempt. And then there was the actual murder of Young Dolph, arguably the most tragic chapter in this whole saga. It happened in broad daylight, right in his hometown of Memphis. Dolph had pulled up to Makita's Homemade Cookies, a spot he was known to frequent and support often. That's when it all went down. Two masked gunmen ambushed him outside the shop and shot him multiple times before speeding off in a getaway car. The whole thing was caught on surveillance footage, and just like that, Memphis lost one of its most respected voices. What followed was a manhunt that gripped the entire city. Eventually, police arrested 23-year-old Justin Johnson, better known as Straight Drop, and 32-year-old Cornelius Smith. They were both charged with Dolph's murder. But then came a third name, Hernandez Govan, 43 years old, who prosecutors believe was the one who actually orchestrated the entire hit. The trial.
Govan asked for Young Dolph to be murdered.
Mr. Govan has been indicted and is in custody for being involved in the Young Dolph. He played the role of the person who solicited.
Now fast forward to September 2024 during the trial, and that's when things really took a turn. Cornelius Smith flipped. He got up on that stand and decided to tell it all. First, he dropped a shocking statement. He said he didn't know who Young Dolph was when they killed him, said it was all about the money. Even crazier was that day, November 17, 2021, was his daughter's birthday. Instead of being with her, he was out chasing a promise of fast cash, caught up in a plot that would end someone else's life and ultimately ruin his own. In court, Cornelius identified himself and Justin in the surveillance footage from the scene. When they asked him how many times he shot Dolph, he couldn't even answer clearly, said he wasn't even thinking straight. All he had on his mind was the payday they were promised. That's when the courtroom heard the bombshell. Cornelius testified that it was Big Juke, Yo Gotti's older brother and a powerful figure in CMG, who put the bounty on Dolph's head, $100,000. That was the number.
Big Juke had a hit on Dolph's head or whatnot, so...
How do you know that Big Juke had a hit on Dolph's head?
Cause Quick had told me about it.
How much money was it supposed to be?
$100,000 on Dolph's head.
And had you agreed to do this hit?
Yes, sir.
And that's where Hernandez Govan came in. According to Cornelius, Hernandez was the one who pulled the strings. He was connected to CMG and acted as the middleman. He used Justin and Cornelius like pawns. Justin, who was chasing clout and wanted to blow up in the rap game, thought this would earn him stripes with the CMG. And Cornelius, who was down bad and addicted to drugs, just needed the money. Hernandez knew exactly how to manipulate them both. The timing of the murder wasn't random either. Dolph was in Memphis for his annual turkey giveaway, something he did every year to give back to his community. But instead of being recognized for his generosity, Dolph became a target. The killer spotted his custom camo-wrapped Corvette as he was moving through town and followed him. They waited until he stopped at Makita's Cookies to strike. But the story didn't end with a shooting. After the murder, Justin Johnson allegedly FaceTimed Big Juke and spelled out Dolph's name in sign language to let him know it was done. Cornelius testified that Big Juke responded by saying they'd link up soon and that the payment would come through. The plan was for Hernandez to get $20,000 for arranging the hit and for Justin and Cornelius to each walk away with $40,000. That would have totaled $100K, but reality didn't match the plan.
Me and him supposed to be giving Quick $10,000 apiece.
All right, so you and him were going to give Govan $10,000 apiece?
Yeah.
And how much were you going to get?
I was getting 40, he was getting 40.
Okay.
Cornelius says he only got $800. That's it, $800 for taking out a hometown legend and father of two. His life spiraled even further after that. Once he got arrested, he claimed that Big Juke covered his lawyer's fee, dropping $50,000 on the defense. But as for the promised payment, it never came. Later on, another CMG-connected individual allegedly dropped another $50K on a lawyer for him too, but by then, Cornelius was already too deep in the hole. Meanwhile, everyone involved started falling like dominoes. Justin's brother, Jamarcus Johnson, ended up being the fourth person charged in connection to the case. His role was helping Justin escape after the murder. He pled guilty to 3 counts of accessory after the fact and now faces 6 to 12 years behind bars. Justin was convicted of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and being a felon in possession of a firearm. Following the guilty verdict, he was immediately sentenced to life in prison for the murder charge.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder as charged in count 1 of the indictment. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder.
Then his attorneys filed a motion asking the court to vacate the sentence and grant him a new trial. The motion argued that the evidence presented wasn't strong enough to prove first-degree murder beyond a reasonable doubt. It also claimed the court made errors by allowing gruesome crime scene and autopsy photos into evidence and by denying Johnson's requests to sit at the counsel table during trial. But still, things only got worse for him. Johnson was later handed a 35-year sentence for the conspiracy charge and another 15 years for being a felon in possession of a firearm, stacking up to 50 additional years on top of his life sentence. Though 2 of those sentences will run concurrently, the message is clear. He's not getting out. And Cornelius didn't get a pass either. The prosecutors made it clear, just because he's talking doesn't mean he's walking. He's still going to prison, maybe not for life, but he's not going home anytime soon. One of the most heartbreaking parts of this whole thing was when Cornelius recalled his daughter's birthday. The prosecutor asked him point blank, "You went and killed a man on your daughter's birthday?" Cornelius replied, "I was trying to make it rain for her. I wanted to make it a beautiful day for her." That moment changed everything. Instead of being a father to his 5 kids, Cornelius ended up killing a father, a husband, a community figure, for a check that never came. Big Juke. Fast forward to what many saw as the inevitable fallout from Young Dolph's murder, Yo Gotti ended up feeling that retaliation in a way nobody could have predicted. And it hit him where it hurts the most, his family. There had been whispers for a while that something might come back around, that the streets hadn't forgotten. And sure enough, it did. They didn't just come for Gotti's crew or the label, they reportedly came after his mother. Word is, she was targeted in a move that shook everyone who heard about it. Thankfully, she managed to escape unharmed, but the close call was already a major wake-up call. Still, it didn't stop there. The one who paid the ultimate price was Yo Gotti's older brother, Big Juke. Big Juke was in a funeral, but in the streets, there's no such thing as sacred ground. When you're in that world, not even a funeral offers protection. If it's your time, it's your time. So here's what happened. Both Yo Gotti and Big Juke were attending a service for their family member, OG Eric Bolden. There's actual footage floating online, shared by YouTube journalist Seti Nash, showing them standing right there by the casket. On the surface, it looked like 2 brothers mourning someone they cared about, but in the back of the church, 2 men could be seen quietly posted up, watching. No one knew it at the time, but those 2 were reportedly waiting, studying Juke. Now here's where it gets even crazier. Yo Gotti didn't go to the repass, but if he had shown up, there's a good chance the situation might have gone completely left. Instead, Big Juke went solo, rolling up to Perignon's restaurant and event center on Winchester Road. That's where they got him. He was just getting into his car when it happened. Some folks say Gotti's mother was in the vehicle with him, which, if true, makes that even more twisted. The shooters didn't care. They pulled up and lit the car up. Gunfire rang out and the car was riddled with bullets. Gotti's mom managed to get away somehow, but Big Juke caught the brunt of it. He was rushed to the hospital, but the damage had already been done. He didn't make it. Surveillance cameras later picked up a white SUV fleeing the scene, no license plates, clean getaway. And the message was loud and clear.
Tonight, police are looking for a white Ford Explorer SUV in connection with the shooting. It has dark tinted windows and black wheels. A witness told police they saw suspects in the SUV speeding away.
Everyone knew why this happened. It wasn't random. This was a direct response, a long brewing act of vengeance that had been waiting for the right time and place. Young Dolph versus Yo Gotti. So how exactly did the beef between Yo Gotti and Young Dolph really begin? Well, if you ask Yo Gotti, he'll tell you he's just as confused as everyone else. In multiple interviews over the years, Gotti has maintained that he never had any bad blood with Dolph and was genuinely supportive of his movement. He even pulled up a text message he sent to Dolph back in August 2012, where he was showing nothing but love, encouragement, and respect. According to Gotti, the only thing he can guess that might have sparked any tension was the fact that he didn't hop on a song with Dolph when asked. Other than that, he claimed he's just as confused as the public about why things spiraled the way they did. From his perspective, there was no real animosity, at least not from his side.
Yes, I'm the biggest rapper from Memphis. You know what I mean? I help a lot of rappers from Memphis. He was trying to get a verse or something from me, you know. I don't know if I, probably didn't do that. I never done the verse.
But if you turn the mic over to Young Dolph, his version of the story paints a whole different picture. Dolph said that around 2012, when he started to gain serious traction in Memphis and getting love beyond just the city limits, Yo Gotti reached out and offered him a deal with his label, CMG, Cocaine Music Group. Now at that point, Gotti was already a household name, both in Memphis and nationally, and signing with him would have been a major move for any up-and-coming artist. But Dolph turned it down. According to him, that's when things started to get tense. But it wasn't just the offer, it was the way the offer was presented that rubbed Dolph the wrong way. He said that Gotti basically dissed his own artists in the pitch, claiming they weren't really that good, that they constantly needed help, and that Dolph was different. Gotti reportedly told him something along the lines of, "You don't need all that, you can be a superstar with me." Dolph didn't like that at all. To him, it sounded like Gotti was throwing his own team under the bus just to lure him in. And that kind of energy, Dolph wasn't feeling it. He didn't like the politics or the disrespect. It made him not want to do business with Gotti at all.
You got your own everything, bro. You popping. You like, bro, you got the money, you got your team, you got this, you got that. You like, bro, I'm telling you, we can do this, we can do that. It's cool, but it's my first time meeting you. You gonna really sit and downplay your artist and throw your artist up on the bus to try to persuade me in to come over there? No, it's just, I can't respect that.
But then there's another layer to this whole situation. Dolph also claimed that he had a relationship with Yo Gotti's baby mama. And when Gotti found out about it, that's when the real beef supposedly ignited. Dolph didn't go too deep into the details, but he said the proof was in the artwork for his infamous diss track, Play With Yo B. The cover featured a phone screen filled with missed calls, allegedly from Gotti's baby mama calling Dolph. Now let's take it back for some context. In 2010, Yo Gotti was really starting to rise in the mainstream game. His track 5 Star, which featured Gucci Mane, Trina, and Nicki Minaj, was charting and getting major attention. Memphis had a new star on the rise, and Gotti was repping the city hard. Meanwhile, Dolph was just stepping into the scene. He had just dropped his second mixtape, Welcome to Dolph World, and was beginning to get recognized, especially by Atlanta heavyweights like Gucci Mane, 2 Chainz, and OJ the Juice Man. He wasn't a superstar yet, but the buzz was definitely building. By 2012, the dynamics had shifted. Yo Gotti was now a solidified name in the industry, but Dolph wasn't far behind. He was becoming a real force, and Gotti noticed that. That's when he reached out to Dolph to do a community show in Memphis focused on uplifting the youth. There's actual footage of that event where Gotti and Dolph were on stage together. It's the only known footage of the two performing together, and at that moment, it looked like they were cool, maybe even allies.
Yeah. Shout out to my Young Dolph in this motherfucker. Can't stay, you what's happening?
That show happened around August 2012, the same time Gotti allegedly made his pitch to sign Dolph to CMG. According to Gotti, August 24, 2012 was the last time he and Dolph ever spoke. After that, there's no public record of any other conversations or collaborations between the two. Outwardly, it seemed like everything was still good, but behind the scenes, things were already beginning to shift. Subliminal shots were exchanged, and behind the scenes, things got uglier and uglier. Eventually, the beef turned deadly. Multiple attempts were made on Dolph's life, and it all ended in tragedy with his murder. Now fans are talking louder than ever. With everything that's come to light, people are saying a RICO case against Yo Gotti and CMG doesn't just seem possible, it's starting to feel inevitable. The signs have been there for a while and the streets are buzzing. At this point, folks are saying it's not if the feds show up, it's when.